Hello and welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. My name is Karen Seltz. I'm so excited to host this episode for you. I want to talk about fear and the fear of fear, which is also known as anxiety. So a lot of us, well, I don't know anybody who's exempt from this. So if you are, please drop a comment. Let me know how you've managed to do it. I would say most of us experience fear from time to time, if not every single day. So what happens when we experience fear? Like, why does it happen? How does it happen? How do we respond to it? Why it happens normally, according to A Course in Miracles, according to neuroscience, is our subconscious mind is scanning the environment constantly. And the moment it senses anything that is a potential threat, it's like, oh my gosh, alert, alert, alert. And before we can even name it, before we can make sense of it, we start to sense things in our body. And it really is our senses bringing in this data into the subconscious mind. So let me give you an example. If you have a friend who is a combat veteran and they saw their best friend get blown up by a grenade, and they're sitting in their living room just minding their own business, and all of a sudden these kids outside light firecrackers, and this guy dives under the coffee table. Now, logically, does he think he's going to get blown up? Well, there's no logic involved, right? A loud noise came out of nowhere. His mind is reacting as if that event is happening, like he's watching his best friend get blown up again and his life is in danger. So that's a pretty extreme example. Most of us have not seen combat. So what about us? Let's say you got into a car accident and it happened to be a rainy day and there was a certain song playing on the radio. Next time you hear that song on the radio, your mind is going to start scanning, unless you've processed it. It's going to start scanning the environment. It's going to send these signals to your body. And you're going to feel some emotions, probably fear, probably dread, probably go home. You get these thoughts like you're not safe, go home. So that event is compounded with whatever it is you're experiencing. So maybe now it's sunny, but you're hearing that song on the radio and you just stopped at a restaurant and your car smells like French fries. So then your mind can add all these other sensory inputs, the smell of French fries now, a sunny day. So now essentially what happens is you create this giant snowball and it's like data keeps getting stuck on that. And then every time you experience this stimuli, you might go into a stress response where you're like, oh gosh, I'm not safe. And your body is really, not your body, your mind is trying to get you to take an action to prevent that car accident, however many years ago it was. Now, is that possible to prevent you from getting into a car accident 5 years ago? No, of course not. Does your mind have that information that it's not possible to do anything? No, it doesn't. It's just stuck there like a glitch. But here's the good news. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your mind. It's just a little tiny glitch. You don't throw away the whole computer if it starts glitching. You do a defrag. You call in an expert. You uninstall programs. You reinstall programs. You get rid of crap, right? You clean out the files. I shouldn't have used a computer reference. So we experience fear. Our senses bring in this information. It tells our mind, oh gosh, produce an emotion to get us to take action. Fear, let's escape the predator. Let's run away. Now, what happens when we start to notice these sensations in our body? Many of us, if we've experienced anxiety, we start to fear the sensation of fear. Now think about that. You ever have an anxiety attack and then anytime your body starts to do this thing, you're like, oh crap, oh gosh, it's going to happen again. This is going to be really embarrassing because now I'm at work and everyone's going to see me. They're going to know what a weirdo I am. Well, I've had this happen and it is not fun. Luckily, I didn't have it happen enough that I started to notice and recognize those feelings. But if you've had chronic anxiety, it's the feelings, not the actual anxiety, that cause you to go into that panic attack. So, what do you do about it? Oh my gosh, so many things, right? Number one, always number one, bring yourself back to the present moment in whatever way you can. Now, some people are able to do that using the breath. That never worked for me if I was in a panic. Like breathe slower, count to 10. I'm like, F that, man. I can't breathe. The room is closing in. So for me, one thing that really, really supports me is moving my body. And I am a huge fan of skipping. Yes, skipping like a child, like skip, skip, skip. I mean, I'm jogging in place because where am I going to go? I'm in a room. But skipping like a child, there's something neurologically that is hardwired in everybody I've ever tried this with that brings you to the present moment. And in the present moment, you are safe. There's nothing that's going to eat you or kill you in this moment, right? I mean, in most cases. So if you can move your body, even if you go for a walk around the block, unless that's an anxiety provoking activity, do 10 push-ups, do something, remove your body, because emotions, energy in motion, if you can move your body, the emotion that's been stuck there can move, it can be released, it can be transmuted into something else. The other thing you can do, if you are brave, right? And if you haven't been doing this, I suggest doing it with a professional, with your coach, with your therapist. Um, there is a thought in therapy that you have to feel it to heal it. And I can see where they're getting at. But if that were really true, then the woman who's cowering in the corner while her partner is screaming and yelling and throwing things at her, you'd say, in a few minutes, she should be safe because he's gotten it all out, right? So the next day she should be safe because he got all that rage and all that anger out. So that doesn't really make sense if you really think about it. Have you ever had a good cry about something and then the next day you have another good cry about it and then another one and another one? It doesn't really work. I'm not saying not to feel it. What I am saying is, what if you surrender to the emotion? Just allow it. Lean in instead of resisting, which I've talked about this before, but I suffered from clinical depression for many years. I was suicidal and I resisted sadness like it was going to kill me because I thought it was. Because before I had kids, I would get depressed and I'd be like, there's no point in me living. There's nothing to live for. And I was happily married and all the things, but my mind was convincing me that I would be better off dead. And the only thing really that kept me from actually committing suicide is I had a brother that had a closed head injury, and he was on a motorcycle. He had an accident. He had a closed head injury and he had passed away from those injuries and from some other things, but after like 11 years of living like a vegetable. So my mom had spent so much time and went through so much pain seeing my brother, be this vibrant young man to being like, he couldn't eat or walk or talk, nothing. He could do nothing. And she spent so much time trying to nurse him back to health. And eventually he died. And she was devastated. And I'm like, I could never do that to my mom. She's already lost one child. I couldn't do it to her. And thank God, I mean, not thank God my brother had that, but thank God I had that kind of string, like to my mom. Like I just couldn't imagine putting her through that. It was unimaginable to me. So I'm still here and now I have kids and all the things. And I no longer suffer from depression, thank God, but I understand it really, really well. But having gone through it before I did rapid resolution therapy, I was still clinically depressed. And after I went through my depression, and I believe, I was still on antidepressants, but I would go through these periods of just like feeling so sad, but not allowing that sadness to take me over. So I would medicate. I would distract myself watching television or exercising. I used to work out all the time. Whatever I could do to not feel that sadness. So it was always there, like right under the surface. And the message I was sending my subconscious mind was this sadness is going to kill you. Avoid it at all costs. And it got the message. It got the message because I was the queen of running. And by running, I mean running behaviors like distraction. And if you think about anybody who is active in an addiction, they have a tendency toward running away from their emotions. And history of addiction, right? That's what I did. I found some other way to channel my energy to suppress that feeling of sadness. And I remember my best friend got into Pema Chodron, who is a Buddhist nun, and she gave me all these CDs. Yes, this was a long time ago. And so I listened to, I don't even remember which one. She had all of them. But it was she was talking about leaning into the emotion, knowing it wasn't going to kill you. And I'm like, how does she know? How does she know it's not going to kill me? Because I really believe it is going to kill me. And at this time, I had two small children and I was a single parent. And I'm like, I cannot possibly kill myself and leave these children without a mother. Like, what would be more horrible than that? So I better avoid sadness at all costs. And I really believe that I was doing my children a favor. So I was like kind of numb and, whatever. I was ridiculous, right? But I was doing the best I could. So I'm like, okay, Pema, I'm going to try it. And I remember the first time just, okay, I feel some sadness arising. I'm just going to allow it. I'm going to lean in and I'm going to allow myself to really just cry and feel this sadness. And lo and behold, it did not kill me. And I practiced this over and over and over. And then I came across this Buddhist meditation called Tonglen, Tonglen. And this is the most counterintuitive meditation that I've ever heard of. You know how if you go to a yoga class or anything, they're like, breathe in love and light, exhale all your stress and tension, right? It's always like breathing in what you want and exhaling what you don't want. Well, Tonglen is the opposite. So I was experiencing depression and sadness. So in Tonglen, you breathe in, you connect first to all the people that are currently experiencing the disturbing emotion that you are experiencing. So for me, it was like sadness, depression, hopelessness, despair, like the lowest possible vibration emotions. So you connect to all of these people, and your goal is to alleviate their suffering by taking it all. So you're breathing in all the sadness, hopelessness, depression, whatever it is. I mean, I've also done it for grief and some other things. You're breathing it in for everyone who is currently suffering so that they don't have to feel it anymore. And you are willing to feel it so deeply, so strongly, as if you are feeling it for the millions of people that are going through the exact same thing. It's also great for breakups, grief, if you're grieving someone, any type of loss, a pet, a parent, a partner. It sounds super ridiculous, I know, but you're feeling it so deeply that it almost desensitizes you to it in a way. But listen to this, and you're breathing out what you want to experience more than anything. So I was breathing out comfort, love, acceptance, happiness, joy, peace. Breathing in sadness, suffering, depression, hopelessness. Breathing out love, acceptance, joy, peacefulness. And when you do that, something shifts at some point in your body and your mind where the pain just lessens and you feel so good about yourself for being willing to take on that level of burden for everyone else. And these are, a lot of them complete strangers in other continents, other countries, right? So something transmutes, something lifts while doing that. And it's really leaning into that storm, like leaning into those feelings so strongly and being willing to get yourself out of the way. So I highly recommend it if you're going through something difficult. There's an app called Insight Timer, Insight. and they have tons of free meditations. So check that one out for sure and give it a try. And then there's another thing too that I've done that I don't know how it works, but it does. So when I'm feeling like, I don't know, in a crappy mood or down or hopeless or like I don't matter, I'm not enough, any type of thing that I'm not able to shake through breathing or meditation, I do this. I just sit, I close my eyes, I put my hands on my heart, and I say, God, who could use a phone call from you right now? And then somebody pops into my mind and my heart, and I call that person. And every single time I've done this, every single time that person says, how did you know? How did you know I was going through something? And I was like praying, God, please give me an answer. Please send somebody to me. I'm like, I mean, it happens every single time. And then by me feeling like I was divinely led to support this person, their vibration raises, their mood raises. And of course, mine does too, because I made a difference for someone. I listened to my divine calling and I made a difference. And some people would call that getting out of your own way. And I used to teach video. I used to teach people how to speak authentically on video. And one thing that I used to teach people is before you speak, say a prayer. And the prayer is simply this: get me out of the way and speak through me. Who gets to hear this? I'm here to serve, speak through me. And when you concentrate on serving just one person, one, not thousands, you're only connecting to one person, then you don't get nervous because it's not about you anymore. It's not about, oh, do you look good? Do you sound good? Are you fumbling? Are you saying, because you're probably not, because you're not thinking about yourself. So that is one way to get out of your own way, is to really just get quiet for a minute, sit, put your hands on your heart, pray. Who gets to hear from you right now? And that is, for me, one of the quickest ways to boost your mood that I've ever seen. And I think it's really beautiful because when two or more people are joined together, the ego mind, the part of your mind that wants to keep you safe and separate or small, it cannot continue, because when two or more are joined, you are in truth and you have available to you a new level of consciousness. Now, remember that Einstein quote, it's one of my favorites. I say it a lot. You cannot solve a problem from the same level of mind or the same level of consciousness that created it. So when you're sitting in what I call a shitty diaper, you're just sitting there like feeling sorry for yourself, dug in, then you're not going to solve your problem. You're going to keep creating it. You're going to keep spinning. You're going to keep revolving rather than evolving. And when you can just catch it, don't shame yourself. First, maybe move your body. Yes. And then say, okay, who gets to hear from me right now? And then make a call. Call somebody. Go for a walk. Call somebody while you walk, unless you're in Phoenix right now. It's a little hot to do that. But just notice what happens to your mood and to your bonds, to your friendships, to your partnerships. People will really start to appreciate you, and you will develop your intuition and your connection to source even greater when you do that often. What if you did it every day? You would feel so good about yourself, about your contributions, about your connection, and about your willingness to follow, that you would be taking inspired action. And that, just that one step, leads to the next step. Okay, what would you have me do now? Now I'm in a good mood. I could do whatever the heck I want. Nothing seems daunting anymore. I have, hope's not a good word, but I have a recognition of truth, of my value, of my ability to serve, my ability to shift my own state and to support someone else in shifting theirs. So it's a beautiful synergistic thing. Like when you start to get in that divine flow, and then just watch what happens. One time you're going to be sitting in your shitty diaper and someone's going to call you and you're going to be like, what is this? How did you know? I put out the bat signal and you got it. And when that happens, you'll know like you've arrived like at the full circle moment. And it's so beautiful how the universe will support you like that. It's so beautiful. I had a friend reach out this morning and I had like 15 minutes to talk. And I'm like, well, of course I'm going to answer. And by me supporting her, it started out my day with me being in truth, being in integrity, being in service, being in love, and able to witness my friend. And she could be a sounding board. And then we're like, what about this? And what about this? And, we just hashed it out to where she got to this aligned place instead of listening to those beliefs and those stories from the past. She was able to be present with what is and to notice all the things she has to appreciate in this one particular situation. And they were many, but she was focusing on the one tiny thing that didn't feel good because it was rubbing up against something in her past. So use those opportunities. Like when you are in a foul mood or a sad place, use those opportunities instead of hiding and saying, I can't show up like this. I have to be perfect. Use that to uplift another person and just see what happens. It's absolutely incredible. It's never failed me. And I'm not faking on the phone. I just say, hey, you just dropped into my heart and mind. Is everything okay? And that's how I start. I'm not like, hey, what's going on? If I'm feeling down here, I'm not acting like that. I'm like, they dropped into my heart and mind for a reason. So there it is. I really, my intention, I'm going to say that again. My intention is that this served you and that you are going to take this and use it. So remember the things to do when you're in a mood, right? So you can move your body. Just move it somehow so you don't get stuck. Tonglen is another one, that Buddhist meditation, leaning into the feeling. And that one, be careful with. Make sure that you have someone to support you in case you get stuck there. If you happen to get stuck, move your body, or call somebody, phone a friend. And the other one is drop into your heart and say, who can I serve? Who needs to hear from me right now? And let me know what happens to your mood. Please comment. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and let's go from there. Also, I have a brand new meditation on my website for free that will help you regulate your nervous system. And when you use it regularly, you're going to program into your mind ways of dropping into a relaxed state immediately. So when you get it, when you download it, make sure you read the email on how to use it, because then it's only 5 minutes. You're going to have it in your toolbox. So anytime you get kind of jostled, your nervous system goes, what's happening? You can just do these 3 things within 30 seconds and your nervous system will be like, oh, calm. So try that out. My website is Karen Seltz, my name, .com. It's not Karen Seltz, my name. It's KarenSeltz.com. But that would be fun. That'd be a fun URL, huh? So have a fabulous week. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to hearing your comments. Mwah.